Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider and like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story, it comes from Technical Housing 97 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit. It's got multiple updates on this one. You may have heard previous ones in other places, so if you want to skip certain parts of the story, timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. It's titled, Am I the Arsehole Here, for telling my wife that I will lose respect for her if she doesn't apologize. My wife and I have 3 kids. Thursday, my wife was helping our 9-year-old with her homework. She was supposed to fill in a chart with the times tables. That was a hectic day. Our 4-year-old threw up and I was trying to clean him up, and my wife was having trouble getting our 9-year-old to focus on what she was doing because she kept looking at me. Our 9-year-old hates math and is pretty bad at it, which annoys my wife, who is usually fantastic at math. My wife asked our daughter what 7 times 7 was. Our daughter said she didn't know. My wife kept telling her to try to think of any answer. She kept saying she didn't know. My wife was getting frustrated. Our daughter finally guessed 37. My wife said close, 47. Our 13-year-old then said, no mum, it's 49. My wife snapped at that point and told him to shut up and go upstairs. He went into the backyard instead. She took a deep breath and then went into our room. I finished with our 4-year-old and then went outside. I tried to talk to him, but he didn't want to listen. He kept saying, but Dad, 7 times 7 is 49. I told him his mum just got frustrated and didn't mean to yell at him. He kept insisting that 7 times 7 is 49, which I'm aware of, so I got nowhere. I went back inside to talk to my wife. She said she knew she shouldn't have yelled. She said she was frustrated because he was distracting her, and that's why she made the mistake. I pointed out that she made the mistake before he said anything. She started crying and asked why I was being so critical. I apologized and I told her I loved her. We hugged it out, but then I asked her if she was going to go and apologize to our 13-year-old. She said no, because he shouldn't have interrupted her. She said he was rude and needed to learn not to interrupt. I told her it's not okay to tell him to shut up. We went back and forth, and finally I said I won't be able to respect her as much if she doesn't apologize. That really hurt her. She said she needed space. She hasn't said a word to me or him since Thursday. I know that what I said is harsh, but I can't respect someone who won't apologize when they make a mistake. Am I the arsehole? My sister says I am because I'm not being supportive and our 13-year-old is a lot. Opie gives an update within the same post and says, my wife got up before our alarm and started cleaning our bathroom. I started the laundry and made breakfast. She didn't say a word when she sat down to eat. She ate much faster than normal. She stood up, picked up our 4-year-old and told our 9-year-old to get ready because they were going to the library. She didn't say anything to our 13-year-old. I told her we need to talk and she shook her head. I followed her upstairs and insisted that we need to talk. She kept shaking her head. She went into our 4-year-old's room and locked the door. I went downstairs and told our 13 and 9-year-old that we were going to the dog park. They both asked if Mum was okay, and I said yes and that she needed space. I grabbed some clothes for our 9-year-old from the laundry room, and she got changed in the downstairs bathroom. We're at the dog park, and my wife is refusing to answer my texts. I'm starting to think this isn't about math. So, a couple of quick comments. The first one said she hasn't spoken to her son in 3 days and she was in the wrong. Ouch. Beautiful Monster says, I just realized it's been 3 days. What the hell? That's even worse. Commenter replies saying true, now she has way more to apologize for. Another commenter says, and way more respect has been lost. A grown-ass adult holding a grudge against their own child. Pathetic, embarrassing, cringe. I don't even think I could get hard for a woman like that. So it was 2 days later after this that Opie came in with another update and said, yesterday, Sunday, my wife wanted to take the 2 younger children to the library. I tried to talk to her, but she locked herself in our 4-year-old's bathroom. I took our older 2 children to the dog park. She took our 4-year-old to the library. At the dog park, I talked to our 13-year-old. I explained to him that a lot was going on right now and his mother was overwhelmed. I said that sometimes when a person is overwhelmed, the next thing that happens, good, bad, or neutral, is the thing that pushes them over. And the source of that thing, good, bad, or neutral, is what they lash out at. I said his mum was wrong to lash out at him, but it wasn't his fault, and she didn't really mean it. I said she was embarrassed, and that's why she was avoiding him. He said that wasn't fair, and we kept going back and forth. I was trying to help him understand he didn't do anything wrong and shouldn't feel bad, but all he could focus on was that he was being treated unfairly. I told him that it was unfair, but that his mum isn't perfect, and everyone makes mistakes. I said sometimes he is unfair, but we forgive him because we love him. I said forgiving his mum, even though she is wrong, would be a nice way to show his love for her, but that he doesn't have to. Again, he just said that the situation was unfair, which it is. It really is. After the dog park, I took our 13-year-old to a friend's house and our 9-year-old to a friend of mine's house. I went home and made dinner. However, my wife went out for dinner with our 4-year-old, so she didn't get home until after I'd put everything away. I told her we had to talk now that their older kids aren't here, and that not talking wasn't an option anymore. She still ignored me, so I said that if she wouldn't engage with me, I'd have to call our sisters and get them to come over to help me. She got very angry, but she finally engaged. She told me that she is drowning. She said work is exhausting, and every day when she gets home her patience is already below zero. She is scared and upset by our 4-year-old's stomach issues. She said he threw up again at dinner. She really shouldn't have taken him out to eat because we are supposed to keep track of everything he eats before throwing up or not throwing up before the appointment today, which is impossible to do at a restaurant. But I didn't mention that. She said she can't take our 13-year-old's behavior anymore. I said he didn't do anything wrong Thursday. She said that when we were at that age, if we interrupted our parents to tell them they were wrong, we would have been punished severely. She said we raised a spoiled, entitled child. She said she can never get any peace and quiet in our own home, that she worked hard to pay for because we have a spoiled teen that refuses to ever stop talking or making noise. I said we've been working on those behaviors and he has been improving. But she lashed out when he was trying to be helpful, and that sends the wrong message. She told me that I'm not supporting her. She said she needs things to change. She said we need to crack down and stop being so lenient. If he plays the recorder after we've told him he's done for the night, we need to take it. If he interrupts, he needs to go straight to his room. If he argues about curfew, he needs to lose privileges. I told her we need to take a step back. I said if she is overwhelmed, she needs to take a break. I told her this heightened emotional state is a bad time to make huge household changes. I suggested, like many commenters did, that she get a hotel for a few days and decompress. She said she's not the problem. I didn't say she was, and he is. She said he was bad from the beginning. She said when our daughter didn't have all his issues, she thought it was because she is a girl. But our 4-year-old boy is also better behaved, so he is the problem. She also said I've always seen it and used to admit it but stopped to make her look crazy. For context, I used to joke that our 13-year-old is challenging because he likes to be outside so much, loves animals and loves playing on his recorder. I want to stress that this was a joke. The reason I stopped making this joke is because I noticed my wife didn't find it funny anymore. This was years ago anyway. I said all that and she said no. I saw even that he is wrong, but stopped acknowledging it to make her feel like the problem. She also said she's been seeing an online therapist. I had no idea. She said she didn't tell me because she was embarrassed. The therapist told her that our son has dangerous tendencies and shows signs of being contemptuous towards women because he doesn't respect his mother. I had no idea how to respond to that. I said any therapist who would say something like that about a child they've never met shouldn't be licensed. And it's an online therapist. For all she knows, they aren't. At the end of the conversation, she agreed to go to the hotel only if she took our 4-year-old with her because she wanted to be the one to take him to his medical appointment. I didn't think that was a good idea at all. However, she ended up just taking him and going. I picked up the kids and brought them home. They sense that something is wrong and were very subdued this morning getting ready for school. I talked to my boss when I came in and he is going to let me leave early to go to our 4-year-old's medical appointment. I'm not sure what will happen there. I'm hoping it will be good news and that will make us all feel less on edge. Another commenter says you've correctly flagged that the online therapist is a quack. My recommendation is to ask if you can join a session to evaluate them yourself and also get their info so you can look them up. If the therapist brings up negative points about your kid, deconstruct those in front of your wife. Your wife needs real help. She's displaying extreme anger towards your son that is clearly deep-rooted. She does need a break, so try and organize that for her and your son. Maybe have all the kids out of the house for a while once the 4-year-old's gastro passes, and then reassess. Every parent goes through periods of depression, but the extreme nature is not healthy and can't continue. Your wife clearly doesn't have the coping skills to deal with this and needs better tools. Good luck. Slade says to OP, I'm kind of wondering if this online therapist is actually an AI program. That would explain why they would agree that her son is so bad, even though he's just a kid doing normal kid stuff. The World is on Fire says the fact that she is blaming your son for basically existing and being a boy is extremely concerning. I used to work in child protection, and I had a mother who was like this. I sat through a meeting with her and her son. She sat there stone-faced while he sobbed and asked her over and over why she couldn't love him. What your wife is doing is emotionally abusive. Get her some help before your son is irreversibly traumatized by his mother. Bitter replies saying, can I be honest, at the risk of downvotes? I understand this is a difficult situation to navigate and I never commented on the original post, but I originally and still do feel like whenever you describe the conversations with your 13-year-old, all you do is make excuses for your wife. Quoting, he said that wasn't fair. I told him that it was unfair, but that his mum isn't perfect and everyone makes mistakes, then says this entire paragraph is you trying to convince him to forgive her. He doesn't need to forgive her. She's being completely terrible to him. She hasn't spoke to or interacted with her child in forever because he corrected her math. I don't care how overstimulated she is or he can be. Giving your kid the silent treatment is abuse. Your wife is an abuser, and you do not need to be trying to convince your son he needs to be the bigger person and forgive her. That's teaching him how to be taken advantage of all his life. He rightfully called you out every single time and you still defend her. Stop doing that. You defend her, then follow up with such egregious behavior from her. She should not be in charge of any care for your any children. She hates your 13-year-old for existing because he doesn't fall in line with what she deems normal. Also, the therapist is a quack. She needs to help, but the kids need to be your priority. Respectfully, you need to start choosing your kids and not her. You need to get an attorney. So it was 8 days later that OP came in with another update. They started with a TLDR of what's happened so far, so we won't cover that, but it said, I retrieved our 4-year-old at his doctor's appointment the next day. She stayed at the hotel alone Monday and Tuesday night. Wednesday, she told me she quit her job. She did not quit her job. A concerned co-worker of hers reached out and revealed the truth. She was suspended for yelling at a co-worker to shut up. She picked the kids up from school plus daycare Wednesday. After they were asleep, I confronted her. We fought and she went to stay with my sister. With my sister's influence, she called her boss and managed to work out a compromise where she won't be fired and can have some mental health leave. She didn't see the kids all weekend, even when my sister picked them up Sunday to take them to a party. She's back home now, so here's where the update starts. Updates: I had our 13-year-old evaluated by a child psychologist like many Redditors suggested. If you learn anything from my experience, learn not to take medical advice from Reddit. Our son is not autistic and does not have ADD. The psychologist said the only thing he comes close to meeting diagnostic criteria is for anxiety, but based on their discussion and the paperwork I filled out, she's confident those symptoms come from external stressors, not an anxiety disorder. My wife came home after work, and when our son arrived home from his friend's house, she did apologize to him. He forgave her and they hugged it out, but it was an awkward interaction. Afterwards, he wanted to play outside with his new harmonica. My daughter doesn't have a learning disability. I talked to her teacher. Her math skills are average for her age group according to the teacher. The teacher suggested that if she is struggling to do math work at home, it is because she feels pressured. I ended up telling her that she can do the work in whatever time frame she wants, and she can have her brother check it for her. So neither her mother nor I will know if she made a mistake. She seems happy with this new arrangement. I think my wife and I were too critical in our eagerness to encourage her to work hard and do well, and I accept culpability for that. Our 4-year-old is allergic to soy. Since I stopped feeding him anything with soy in it, he hasn't vomited once. He will soon be introduced to soy in very small doses to acclimate him. He is doing much better, and this has relieved a huge source of stress. As for my wife, as I said, she apologized to our son. She said talking to my sister helped a lot. She told me the reason she has been so overwhelmed and she lashed out was the realization that we aren't going to have another kid and the 3 we have are it. She said she is worried that our kids are spoiled and soft. She said she wants our kids to bypass their peers, and she doesn't see that happening right now because they're too undisciplined and unmotivated. She said some of her dad's parenting might be what they need. I told her I would never be okay with that, and that would be a deal breaker for me. I also told her I don't see how anxiety about the kids caused her to lash out at work. I said that I think she is frustrated by the fact that she can't control people. She said that's unfair, and I apologized, but also said I think that's an issue similar to what I said is the likely culprit. We agreed to a compromise where she tries to relax until she leaves for a trip with my sister. If she feels she's getting stressed out, she will leave for as long as needed. We will talk about parenting strategies again after she gets back. I've hired a lawyer and didn't tell her. If she again tries to insist that we go full authoritarian on the kids, I will raise the possibility of divorce. I love my wife, but I owe it to my kids to put them first. So a couple more commenters come in after this one saying your wife needs a different therapist and she needs to be honest in her therapy. She's trying to project her upbringing onto your children. Looking at her mental health right now, her upbringing wasn't the best. Jello says part of me is thinking she may be seeing an AI therapist. My insurance even suggested one for me. The doctor really didn't know it was an AI therapist. He just had an approved company that he was supposed to refer people to. Loads of people mentioning AI therapy on this one and the potential of it, which is fucking absolutely terrifying. But another update from OP, it started saying my wife isn't coming home, which came 15 days later. And it said, listen, I just need to vent. My wife is on vacation with my sister after a mini mental breakdown. She just WhatsApped me that she isn't coming back. She said she needs to make some changes and the new year is the perfect time. She told me that a startup working on a course she is passionate about is looking for someone in her field. She's taken the job and moving to the opposite coast. Shock doesn't feel like the right word. It doesn't feel big enough. She wanted to stress that she isn't leaving me, that she just needs to pursue her passion. She said if this startup takes off, we can all move to where she is going and resettle and get a fresh start. She also said that this new job is closer to the clinic our son's pediatrician recommended for his allergy treatment. I started to argue with her, but then I deleted the message. We're doing okay without her, as awful as that sounds. Maybe she needs this. I looked into this startup. I don't think it will take off, but maybe she just needs a break from us to recenter herself. So I told her I love her, that I believe in her, and that I'm proud of her for following her dreams. What else could I say? My sister is pissed at her for abandoning us, and this has pretty much ruined their trip. I think I should feel bad about that, but I'm too burnt out. 2026 is going to be a year. And we do have another update and some comments in a moment, but clearly wife in this is, like OP said, melting down, having some mental health crisis of some sort. That's what it feels like anyway, but I don't think the response to this should be maybe she needs this and just hanging on while, she's chasing whatever and then saying she isn't leaving you at the same time, just keeping you hanging on, keeping the kids, keeping all of you in limbo. Just mate, no. She abandoned 3 kids, including a 4-year-old with medical issues to chase up this startup dream across the country. This isn't a career move. It's just her trying to escape from whatever she can't face. And I think it's time to start using that lawyer that you actually hired. The fact that you said that you're doing okay without her should be the wake-up call. Because it seems at the moment that she's checked out and not willing to help herself at this moment in time, and you need to protect your kids first, in my opinion. Which I know, as always, is very easy for me to say. But LLC says you reply to somebody suggesting an attorney to formalize separation, that you are not separating, and that you owe your wife the chance to rebalance. Respectfully, this is not rebalancing. This is her running away and leaving you to clean up her mess. Again, rebalancing implies intention, structure, and accountability. What she did was leave the state, quit the marriage day to day, and inform you after the fact. There is no timeline, no treatment plan, no agreement about parenting, and no safeguards for your kid. That is not balance, that is just absence. Addicts often do this, and it's called pulling a geographic. They think that if they go somewhere else or do something else, that everything will be all better. It never is unless they put in the necessary work to address the inner problem, fueling the negative actions. Until she fixes what is wrong internally, not much will change. And you can't force that, and you can't make her. It has to come from her, and she seems completely uninterested in doing that. If someone needs space to stabilize, they have commitment to do so with healthy motivations. They don't disappear and say, maybe we'll all move later if my startup works out. They stay engaged, they get help, they make a plan that protects their children first. You keep framing this as something healthy she needs, but what you are describing looks like avoidance, not recovery. Leaving the mess behind you for you to manage while she starts fresh somewhere else is not growth. It is escape. I'm not saying file tomorrow. I'm saying that refusing to even talk to an attorney because you don't want to separate is leaving you and your son legally and emotionally exposed. Consulting an attorney does not end a marriage. It gives you information and leverage so your children aren't the ones paying for adult instability. You're still trying to be the understanding partner. That instinct is admirable, but at some point understanding turns into enabling, especially when there is a child who has already been yelled at and harmed emotionally. It is your job to show your children what is and is not acceptable in a relationship, and nothing your wife has done so far has been acceptable. Call it what you want, but nothing about this looks like rebalancing from the outside. It looks like she left and you're trying to make it sound less scary than it is. God's Girl says, I'm an actual therapist. I'm not AI and I tend to not pull punches. The above advice is spot on. There's just one other thing I want to add. With no legal paperwork, custody is still equal. That means that your wife can show up and grab a child or two from their school or daycare and leave with them, and there is nothing you can do about it. As long as a judge has not ruled on it, you both have equal rights to the kids. She cannot even take care of herself. She is in no position to be a co-parent, let alone a single parent. You started this whole thing because you were concerned about and looking out for your kids. Now all of a sudden you seem content to just let her wander off while you hang out with the kids and allow her to breeze in and out of their lives until they all have an anxiety disorder. Stop worrying about your wife. She's acting like a drugged out hippie, but she is an adult. Your children still need at least one responsible parent to be there for them. That's you. Get to a lawyer and get a separation agreement that gives you full custody and her only supervised visitation. So Opie adds one more update, which was titled What Happened While My Wife Was Overseas, which came 4 days later and said, I have an appointment with a lawyer tomorrow to file for divorce. In my last update I told people that my wife wasn't coming home, but I still thought I could fix things if I give her space. I no longer believe that. Several of you, most of you not very nicely, told me she abandoned our family. I didn't want to believe it, but you're right. I picked my sister up from the airport this morning and we had a long conversation where she filled in details. When my wife, her sister, my sister and her wife got to the resort, everything was fine at first. It didn't take long for my sister to show her ass though. She called my sister a slur that rhymes with bike. Other slurs that rhyme with bike. She called my sister's wife another slur, so that caused a huge fight. My wife cursed out her sister, rightfully, and moved into the room my sister was sharing with her wife to get away from her sister. My wife told my sister more about the situation with the kids. She said she feels like she failed her oldest and he is completely beyond help. She said he is so disrespectful and obnoxious and she doesn't understand how she let it get to this point. Our son, by the way, made his little siblings breakfast and played Monopoly with them while I was up crazy early picking my sister and her wife up from the airport. Evil child, clearly. My sister told my wife our oldest is just a teenager and that she is attaching significance to really insignificant things. My sister said teenagers are all annoying, but it isn't the end of the world. My wife said her dad wouldn't put up with that kind of behavior. My sister pointed out that her dad raised her sister, who goes around calling people slurs. My wife said that was her husband's influence, which, whatever. My wife also said she thinks our daughter is stupid. My sister was shocked to hear that. Our daughter's academic performance at school is average. Most kids are average. That's what average means. She isn't stupid, she's normal. My wife talked about a startup in California an old classmate of hers is going to work for. They do work she really believes in. She said she wanted to move to California to work for them and also so our youngest will be closer to a particular allergy clinic. My sister tried to tell her that it is all crazy, but that didn't work. Since my wife is currently on her way to California, or maybe she already landed, I'm not sure. My sister is angry with my wife and doesn't ever want to talk to her again. They have always been close friends, so that really brought home to me how insane her behavior is. My sister thinks she is lying about having the job too. She thinks my wife is planning to apply in California and that no job offer has been made yet. I wouldn't believe that if not for a previous lie about a current job. To protect myself, I opened a new bank account and switched my direct deposit. I also prepaid a lot of things that get paid from the joint account so she can't drain it and leave us all in a bad spot. I opened a new account specifically for the mortgage, transferred 6 payments into it, and put that on auto pay. I won't use it for anything else. I bought a bunch of gift cards from the grocery store we use as well, so if she does drain the account, we'll be able to buy food. I prepaid the daycare and school fees and activity fees for the kids as far as possible. I paid off and closed our joint accounts. She still has her personal cards and I still have mine. This is going to be messy as hell and I'm not looking forward to it. The worst thing is that the kids are sad their mum isn't coming home. Of course, I didn't tell them what she said about them. Our oldest thinks she went to California to hang out with other cool people because we aren't cool enough for her. I told him that isn't true, but he doesn't believe me. I'm just devastated by all this. The person I'm supposed to be able to rely on abandoned me. Inevitable says to OP, you will be fine. You'll be scared for the first 2 or 3 months, sure. But like you said in a previous post, you're doing fine without her. Once you get rid of the stress this relationship brings you, you'll realize how good all this is for you and your kids. Okay, it's sad and you used to love her, but the happiness and stress-free life you're gaining now is worth it. Opie says, I think happy is a stretch. I never thought I would be single again. I don't want to be alone. If the kids can be happy though, that will be enough. Oopity Goopity says, you deserve happiness too. It might not happen for you right away, and you don't necessarily need another person to be happy, but once life settles, try to find a bit of time here and there for your own happiness too. Opie says, I know I shouldn't need another person to make me happy, but I don't enjoy single life. I like having a partner. Maybe that's pathetic, but I feel like that's just the way I'm set up. Lady says, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you take time and don't rush into anything just to be partnered up. You certainly don't want to add crazy into your life and need someone who will love and respect your children and your parenting. You don't want current wife version 1.2. You also want to find out who you are without your wife. How many times did you compromise with or acquiesce to your soon-to-be ex? What would have been your choices? Figure out how you want to live and parent and then look for someone that matches that. Opie simply replied, this is good advice, and one more comment from Impressive Yam who says you also need to do the following. 1. File for emergency custody order. 2. Have her access removed from daycare and school so she can't take the kids without your knowledge, although it's unequivocal she only wants the youngest. She still thinks he has potential and older to her lost causes. 3. Document everything. 4. Get your sister to give and sign an affidavit to all the nasty things she said about the kids. Unforgivable. Out of curiosity, I want to know what she does for a living and does she, your wife, have an IQ level of Stephen Hawking's? The way she slanders and labels her own kids as stupid incessantly. One would think she has a genius level IQ. Opie says she's an environmental engineer. And I got to say, I'm kind of relieved at the end that Opie is, talking to that lawyer, going down this process and hopefully get things on a better track in the end, because as heartbreaking as it is, of course it's going to be. This was Opie's family. This was Opie's normal, right? But now Opie does need to just protect the children. They should be priority in this situation, regardless of his mental health or not, because she's not rebalancing. She's abandoned 3 kids, including one she's literally called stupid and another which she seemed to have scapegoated for years. And I think OP needs to be wary because their comment that I don't want to be alone is a bit worrying, right? And I'm not saying it won't be scary because, if OP's been married for X amount of time, it's a huge lifestyle change, right? But just look at your 13-year-old making his siblings breakfast while you collected your sister from the airport. He's not the problem. He never was. Your wife was just projecting her own issues, her control issues, and her upbringing by the sounds of it on a kid who just enjoys playing recorder and likes being outdoors. It's wild. And the commenters have already pretty much said it. Get the emergency custody order, document and everything, and keep remembering your kids deserve better. And honestly, you do too. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care. and much love.